Something extraordinary just happened inside one of the most guarded buildings in the world, and what was said behind those closed doors may determine whether the next world war starts or stops. Right now, Air Force One is heading back to Washington. Trump just walked out of his most consequential meeting in years, and buried underneath all the handshakes, the state banquet, and the roses, yes, Xi Jinping literally promised Trump rose seeds, is a warning so serious that even seasoned diplomats are calling it unprecedented. Stay with me to the end of this video, because what happened in Beijing on May 14th and 15th, 2026 is not just a news story. This is a moment that could reshape the entire global order, and most people have absolutely no idea what was really said in that room. You're watching Verified Bulletin, where we break down the world's most important stories with facts, context, and zero noise. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button right now. This channel is where serious news lives. Picture this. An American president walks into the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. Cannons boom. A band plays the Star-Spangled Banner. Hundreds of schoolchildren wave flowers and flags. Xi Jinping is smiling. Trump is smiling. It looks like a friendship summit for the history books. But inside that meeting room, behind 2 hours and 15 minutes of closed-door talks, Xi Jinping looked Donald Trump in the eye and delivered what China's own foreign ministry described as a direct threat. Xi warned Trump that mishandling the Beijing-claimed island of Taiwan would cause clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. Clashes, conflicts, jeopardy. Those are not diplomatic words. Those are war words, and they came from the leader of a nation with the world's largest standing army, sitting directly across from the President of the United States. So what exactly is happening with Taiwan right now, and why does it matter to every single person watching this video, regardless of where you live? Taiwan is a self-governed democratic island of 23 million people. China has claimed it as its own territory for decades and has never ruled out using military force to take it. The United States does not formally recognize Taiwan as an independent country, but Washington is its biggest arms supplier and most powerful international backer. Now here is the number that changes everything. One company in Taiwan produces 92% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. Every smartphone, every AI chip, every modern military system. Nearly all of it runs on technology that physically comes from that island. If Taiwan falls under Chinese control, the global technology supply chain doesn't just get disrupted, it gets held hostage. This is not abstract. This is the future of every economy on Earth. Now let's talk about what Rubio actually said, because this is where it gets fascinating. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told NBC News that U.S. policy toward Taiwan was unchanged and cautioned that it would be a terrible mistake for China to try to take Taiwan by force. A terrible mistake, coming from a Secretary of State who just sat inside a room where the Chinese president issued a direct confrontation-level warning. That response is loaded. Rubio also said arms sales to the self-governing democratic island did not feature prominently in Trump's talks with Xi. Think about what that means for a second. The Trump administration has approved an $11 billion arms package for Taiwan, but has yet to begin fulfilling it. And now, in the immediate aftermath of this summit, with Xi's warning still fresh, Trump told reporters on Air Force One that he has made no commitment either way on Taiwan. No commitment either way. That is diplomatic language that keeps every door open and every adversary guessing. Was that intentional? Almost certainly. Trump has played strategic ambiguity before, but make no mistake, Beijing is watching every single word. Comment below right now. Do you think Trump made the right call by not committing on the Taiwan arms sale? I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments. Now here is the angle that most news outlets are barely covering. While Taiwan dominated the headlines, the Strait of Hormuz situation running parallel to this summit may be just as dangerous. Trump discussed the Iran war and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz with Xi, with the disputed shipping lanes central to the energy crisis gripping global markets. The Strait of Hormuz is the narrow waterway through which roughly 20% of the world's traded oil passes every single day. Iran shut it down. Oil prices have skyrocketed. Economies across Asia, Europe, and beyond are feeling the burn. And China, as the largest buyer of Iranian oil, sits at an incredibly complex crossroads. China is the largest purchaser of Iranian oil, and Rubio said that Trump would make the case for Beijing to exert its influence on Iran, noting that administration officials would underscore that economies are melting down because of this crisis, which means consumers are buying less Chinese product. That last part is the real pressure lever. Trump essentially told Xi, "Your economy depends on global consumers spending money. Global consumers can't spend money if energy costs are strangling them. Help end this war, or your own exports suffer." That is negotiation at the highest level, and Trump claims he got something real out of it. Xi reportedly committed that China would not supply Iran with military equipment. Xi also said China opposes any tolling system on Strait of Hormuz traffic. Small wins, but wins that matter. Let's zoom out, because there is a much bigger picture here that very few people are connecting. The Kremlin said that Vladimir Putin's upcoming trip to China will provide a chance to exchange views on Trump's visit to Beijing. Read that again. Putin is rushing to Beijing almost immediately after Trump leaves. Russia wants to know exactly what was said, what was promised, what was traded. Because Russia is also in this equation, deeply. At a congressional hearing, the head of U.S. Central Command noted that the Iranian military is largely made up of Russian and Chinese equipment. So you have Russia arming Iran, China buying Iran's oil, Iran blockading global shipping, and now Trump sitting across from Xi trying to pull China away from that alignment. This is a geopolitical chess game playing out in real time, with consequences for every country on the planet. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to know what's actually happening in the world. And subscribe to Verified Bulletin so you never miss a breakdown like this one. Back to Taiwan, because Xi's warning deserves a deeper examination. Xi delivered his warning on Taiwan, calling it the most important issue in U.S.-China relations, and warned Trump that mishandling it could lead to confrontation between Washington and Beijing. China's military has been undergoing massive internal purges. Analysts at think tanks have noted that the scale of Xi's military purges could actually hinder China's ability to fight effectively. So the strong language on Taiwan may be partly about projecting strength that China's military isn't fully ready to back up yet. Taiwan's foreign minister responded quickly and confidently. Taiwan's foreign minister Lin Chia-lung said that the long-standing U.S. policy toward Taiwan, spanning multiple presidents and administrations, has not changed, and reiterated that China is the primary source of threat causing widespread concern in the international community. That is a government speaking calmly, not panicking, because they know that Washington's strategic ambiguity, the policy of deliberately not confirming whether the U.S. would militarily defend Taiwan, has actually protected Taiwan for decades. Ambiguity keeps China calculating. Certainty in either direction could trigger the very crisis everyone is trying to avoid. Now, what actually came out of this summit in practical terms? Trade discussions happened, Boeing aircraft sales, soybean purchases, fentanyl cooperation, market access for American companies in China. These are real economic conversations that affect jobs, prices, and supply chains. But no formal agreements were announced. No signed documents walked out of Beijing with Trump. The visit was likely to be longer on pageantry and symbolism than substantive political or economic breakthroughs. Xi invited Trump back. Trump invited Xi to the White House in September. The relationship, according to Trump, is a friendship, and yet Underneath that surface, Xi issued a confrontation warning about Taiwan. Russia is preparing to debrief China. Iran is still blockading global shipping, and an $11 billion arms package for a democratic island sits in limbo. Friendship with conditions. Partnership with landmines underneath it. Here is what you need to watch in the coming weeks. First, will Trump move forward with that $11 billion Taiwan arms package? That decision alone could either reassure Taiwan and America's allies across Asia or hand Xi a diplomatic victory that signals U.S. wavering. Second, will China actually use its leverage over Iran to pressure a resolution in the Strait of Hormuz? If oil flows again, Xi gets economic credit and global goodwill. If he does nothing, the pressure Trump applied means very little. Third, what does Putin's immediate post-summit visit to Beijing signal? That trilateral relationship between China, Russia, and Iran is the biggest wildcard in global security right now, and almost nobody is talking about it seriously enough. Fourth, Xi is reportedly coming to the White House in September. What happens between now and then will determine whether that meeting is a genuine breakthrough or another round of beautiful ceremony with nothing underneath. The world just watched two of the most powerful men alive sit across from each other. One issued a war-level warning. The other smiled, praised the roses, and gave no commitment either way. And a Secretary of State stood outside and called it all a terrible mistake waiting to happen. Whether you think Trump handled this perfectly or dangerously, whether you believe Beijing's strength or see through it, one thing is undeniable. We are living through a moment where the decisions made in these rooms will echo for generations. Stay informed, stay sharp, and stay skeptical of anyone who makes this story sound simple, because it isn't. If this breakdown gave you clarity on something the mainstream coverage missed, please share this video with someone who needs to understand what is actually happening right now. Like this video, subscribe to Verified Bulletin, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is Xi's real move here? Is this a bluff, or is Beijing genuinely preparing for something bigger? We read every comment. We'll see you in the next one.